The Supreme Court has made a decision in the LGBT storybook opt-out case that started here in Montgomery County. After a group of parents sued MCPS to get the opt-out choice back in schools, the Supreme Court has sided with the parents.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to your weekly news podcast, MoCo Resistance. My name is Harold Maldonado, giving you a big welcome to today's episode. We'd like to welcome new listeners and viewers to the channel. Thank you for giving us a chance. And for those who follow us on a weekly basis, welcome back. Today, we are going to touch on episode 43, which we have entitled Supreme Court Protects Parents' Rights. And today is July 11th, year of our Lord, 2025. Happy Friday. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July. I know for me and for my family and I, we were busy and celebrating this decision by the Supreme Court. This decision comes about extensive work by parents, by the people who filed the suit against the school, by the community organizations that came together, Catholic, Jew, Muslims that came together and opposed this decision by MCPS not to allow parents to let their kids opt out of LGTBQ plus material. We are definitely delighted that this decision has come down from the Supreme Court, but the school system could have easily allowed parents to continue to opt out their kids from this material. But as we all know, the school system, the Board of Education and the superintendent and the teachers union are not at all a good stewards of education for our kids. They are pushing an agenda. They're pushing a narrative that is absolutely opposed to improving their reading scores, their math scores, and focusing on the core subjects. Instead, they are pushing this narrative that it is inappropriate for kids. I mean, we've been saying this since 2023 when community members came together. They sent letters to the school system. They participated in hearings and were ignored, and to the point where one of the council members, Kristen Mink, called Muslims white supremacists. This decision should let you know clearly that we are up against a political party that is dead set on pushing a narrative, pushing a UN agenda 2030, pushing the agenda of the globalists who want to destroy our education, among other things. So let's get started today. So we said SCOTUS protects parents' rights. That's the title of the episode 43. We're going to touch on three things. We're going to touch on, of course, the big news. Supreme Court sides with parents. We're going to talk about the reaction from residents, and I want to say 99.9% of the responses are positive. And then we're going to hear from the response from county officials. You would think that with all the talk about coming from the Democrats, saying that they are for the rule of law, they are for inclusivity, they are in for tolerance, they are in for the diverse communities, etc. But that's just a lie. That is a complete lie, because they don't respect the rule of law. They don't respect the Constitution. They don't respect the rights of parents to decide what their kids should or should not be exposed to in schools. So before we start, we'd like to ask you to please share these episodes far and wide. We need this information to reach all over the county. And also please subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Telegram, and Rumble. We recommend Rumble because Rumble doesn't censor. And of course, follow us in Twitter, X, and in Facebook. So SCOTUS sides with parents. The Supreme Court, parents can opt kids out of classes with LGTBQ book characters. That's the headline from June 27th, 2025, and this is great news. I mean, I knew when we started protesting in summer 2023, I knew that the school system was not going to allow was not going to address this, and then eventually this was going to reach the Supreme Court. And it was my belief back then that the Supreme Court was going to side with us, and thank God that they did. So we're very happy, we're joyous, we're happy that this decision came about, and now we have to look forward to how this is going to be implemented. And of course, and this is just my analysis, I don't see the school system, the superintendent, the Board of Education, nor the teachers union to be friendly or to enact this decision in a friendly and in easy manner. They're gonna put obstacles. They're gonna put, of course, they are going to make everything possible not to enforce this decision in our school system. But this is huge. This is not only affecting MCPS, but is a loud message for the whole country that every Democrat jurisdiction that is pushing this garbage to our kids are put on notice that the Supreme Court has decided this, and that parents have all the rights protected under the Constitution to remove their kids from being exposed to this filth, this pornography, and let's just say it, the pedophile material that is out there. All right, so we have our first posts from Libs on TikTok. Breaking SCOTUS rules Montgomery County School Board's use of LGTBQ plus storybooks without opt-out violates free exercise clause. Schools must notify parents and allow opt-outs. Great. The court held that reading these books in elementary classrooms imposes a very real threat to parents' rights to direct their children's religious upbringing. That is correct. It's a huge win for parents and sanity. So here's the document that was produced by the Supreme Court. And of course, Mahmoud Taylor. Taylor is the superintendent of education of MCPS. And we had high hopes for him coming in, and hopefully we had hopes that he would actually lead the school system in common sense, but he's just another puppet, unfortunately, and he's just writing anything that their handlers say, that the DNC says. They got to push. They can't think for themselves. They have an agenda. All right, let's continue. We post this on that day. So we said today is June 27th, year of our Lord 2025, and we have great news for a change from SCOTUS. In a logical decision, the Supreme Court has decided in favor of parents' rights to let their children opt out of LGBTQ material. This is a great day for all of us who fought this since day one. MCPS has been called out for pushing pornography to our kids. Kudos to everyone involved and to the law firm that represented us in court. Unity brings out the best in our community. Glory to God and His only Son, Jesus Christ. So, very happy. This is Rosalind Hanson from Moms for Liberty, and this is just great. This is the actual day of, at the time when we received the great news. I'll let you hear it.
All right, the PDF is here.
The PDF.
The court holds that the parents are likely to succeed on their claim that the policy of not allowing opt-outs unconstitutionally burdens their exercise of free religion. Yay! Yay, congratulations, Rosalind.
We have more reaction from that day. By a 6-3 ruling Friday, the Supreme Court sided with parents who sued Montgomery County Public Schools to opt their children out of mandatory LGBT material, inclusive curriculum, overturning a 2023 federal court ruling and handling a legal victory. This is July 3rd, a tweet from Brent Monday. This is true. Public schools should not be able to impose values on children contrary to their parents' religious beliefs, and that happened in this case. But opt-outs are not sufficient to solve the problem. I agree. This kind of material should not be included in elementary schools nor middle schools. That material should be maybe considered for high school and beyond, but This is great news. This is a tweet from Lori Alberson from the GOP that reads, "A long-fought battle in Montgomery County is won. The Supreme Court ruled on the side of parents who had their rights taken away by MCPS when they were told they could no longer opt out of LGTBQ curriculum. As an elected member of MCGOP Central Committee who rallied with the parents, I'm proud to have been a part of this effort." And this is a press release by the chairman of the GOP in the county, Reacion Sully Sullivan, that reads, "Parents' rights prevail. With the release on Friday's Supreme Court decision to support parents' rights to determine what their children learn in public school, sanity is brought back to Montgomery County schools. The Supreme Court's ruling to allow parents to opt out their children out of mandatory classes that violate their religious beliefs came after a long-fought battle with Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox parents, civic organizations, UARE, and Montgomery County Republican Party." Furthermore, he states, in a remarkable decision, the conservative and moderate judges decided that parents in MoCo have the right to opt out of classes they feel are harmful to their children. MCPS, led by a noise on the left, were teaching young children about sexual encounters and techniques with pictures and descriptions of situations in books far more appropriate for adults. The parents didn't ask MCPS to remove the objectionable content. They simply asked MCPS to allow them to opt their elementary age children out of the lessons. So he puts out, that's Reacion Sully Sullivan, the county GOP chair. So thank you for that, Sully. Definitely in agreement. And you make a good point, and this is the point that was made since day one. Parents in this legal battle with MCPS didn't request the materials to be removed, but simply to let their children to be opt out when this material was going to be used in classrooms. Simple as that. All right, let's continue. A tweet from Clean St. MoCo that reads, "How much money did MCPS spend on the Supreme Court case?" So again, this is something that goes beyond education. It goes to the budget, it goes to the finances, it goes to how the county officials that are run by Democrats they don't manage the finances well. They're wasting money. They're not accountable for all the money that they're spending. They increase our property taxes every year. They increase fees every year. And an example of this is the utility bills, the water, the electricity bills. Insane. So yeah, that's a good question, Clean State MoCo. We'd like to know how much money the county spent on especially MCPS spent on this case. All right, we have a tweet from Brenda MDS. She tweets and says, "The Supreme Court's ruling in Mahmoud versus Taylor is an absolute vindication of my campaign's fight to respect parents' rights and freedom of religion in MCPS and ultimately in Montgomery County." Yes, you ran on that platform, Brenda, and we applaud you and also for being now a community leader and speaking out on education issues and other issues as well. All right, we have a tweet from Esther Wells. She also ran for Board of Education, and hopefully she can run again next year. And she tweets, "Crimea River, what a misleading, incoherent, and self-serving op-ed." Oh, she's talking about the Bethesda magazine article, and she continues and says, "The Supreme Court decision attacks the heart of our democracy." Wow. The decision to return power back to parents and preserves parents' liberties over their children, which is at the heart of our democracy. MCPS previously offered opt-out, and so your questions already have answers. Admin burden is an excuse to trample our parents' rights. This is a First Amendment issue. MCPS and employee unions need to know their place and stay in their lane. Correct. Parents have a right to opt out, and MCPS will need to figure out how to partner with parents to offer a curriculum that is mutually agreed upon for elementary school students. Simple. So this is the article that she points out, and quote, this devastating decision undermines the promise of public education to see and value all our students, places an undue burden on classroom educators at all levels, and attacks the heart of our democracy, end quote. So this is the opinion of the Bethesda magazine. We're not surprised, because all the media sources in the county work for the DNC. They work for CASA, they work for MCPS, they work for the council. You're not going to hear anything independent. You're not going to hear anything logical from these sources. And again, we created this channel, MoCo Resistance, to resist the lies and the propaganda that is spewed from sources like the BethesdaMagazine.com. So thank you for sharing that, Esther. Let us continue. Fridays, this is a tweet from Channel 9, WUSA. It reads, Fridays, SCOTUS 6-3 ruling on opt-out to LGBTQ's curriculum in Montgomery County Public Schools drew a strong reaction from both sides. And we have a reaction from one of the residents, from Kelly Nieder, that reads, SCOTUS handed down another great win for parents, this time in the case of Maryland's Montgomery County Public School case, where parents fought for the right to opt their children out of lessons that celebrated radical LGTBQ ideology in sexual education classes. Okay, so that was the breaking news that came out during the announcement from the Supreme Court, and now we're going to hear. We've heard some reactions, but we're going to hear some reactions from residents. And again, from this channel and from all the parents, from all the conservative and religious groups, we're not against LGBTQ. The community is just like any other community that has the right, has the liberty to organize themselves. The only opposition that we have is that you have to respect the school system. You got to respect the ideologies of parents. If some materials are appropriate for kids, that should not be anything contentious for anybody, because we are talking about showing kids about pornography, about sexual activities, sexual positions, etc., etc. And I remember this is back in the fall, early winter of 2023. We had meetings with Moms for Liberty and with current teachers, current MCPS staff, and the staff was really, they didn't know that this material existed, that this material was being pushed to our kids. And when we showed them, here are the books, here's the list of these books and the school system, in the libraries in the different schools in the county, they were shocked. So, all right, let's continue with the reactions. Right, the reactions from this decision are these. Paula tweeting says, children are protected thanks to President Trump once again. Another tweet, sweet, still homeschooling though. Victory, another win, awesome. Massive win, another tweet. Another response, more winning. A picture of SCOTUS, the justices, that reads, SCOTUS rules the Constitution doesn't care about your feelings. Yes, correct. Another tweet that reads, in school, librarians are flipping out about Mahmoud versus Taylor. Oh yeah, so this is the reaction of, and this is a tweet from TX Freedom Fighters that retweeting a tweet from the Washington Post that reads, breaking news, the Supreme Court ruled that religious parents can opt their children out of public school lessons with LGBTQ books, a case that could have implications for schools nationwide. Correct. Texas Freedom writes, we fully support our LGBT friends, families, and authors. This Mahmoud Supreme Court decision weaponizes typical opt-out school policies in favor of bigotry and exclusion of many students and families. I don't think so. So the left is having a panic attack, of course. You have another one that says, this is from Monisha Blair that reads, everyone deserves to see themselves represented in books regardless of their parents' religious beliefs. Wow. of course, the extreme left is calling this banning books. That reads, this tweet from Kelly Jensen reads, please know that this is not a book banning case. This is a case about public education. That distinction does matter, doesn't it? Doesn't make it easier to take, but this isn't carte blanche for book banning. It is more likely it allows for further opting out of public education based on religious claims. So she's responding to a tweet from Mark Joseph Stern that reads, in the fourth decision, the Supreme Court holds that parents who object to LGTBQ books in the classroom have the First Amendment right to opt out their children from seeing these books. Alito writes for a 6-3 majority with all the three liberals dissent. And we're continuing with the reactions. This one is from Crushing Woke Culture. The person writes, finally, parents don't have to ask permission to raise their own kids. SCOTUS just slapped down the groomer agenda hiding behind inclusivity. That's a good one. So let me repeat. The tweet reads, Supreme Court just slapped down the groomer agenda hiding behind inclusivity. That is correct. If your school wants to push ideology, they better send a permission slip first. Sanity wins, the alphabet cult loses. Correct. We have a tweet from LEK USA that reads, all the parents wanted was the ability to opt out their kids doing LGTBQ themed lesson plans, and Maryland was not having it. Yep, and this is why elections matter. In VA, we can't allow expenditure for VA to Maryland or Virginia. Yep, correct. Kids liking rainbows, they also took that away from our kids because they use the rainbow colors to represent something that is unnatural, something that is nefarious to our kids' upbringing. You know what these colors mean? The brown, the light blue, purple, and the white. That is pedophilia. If you don't know what it means, search it up. So this is a great image right here in front of you that reads, Supreme Court rules on parents' religious freedom in LGBT school book opt-out case. So the picture, you see minorities. You see African Americans, you see Muslims, Hispanics, Asians. I thought the Democrat Party was all about inclusivity. I thought they were all about minorities and being their voice and being their representatives. I guess not, huh? Bunch of hypocrite. Yeah, and this is from Fox News when the news broke out.
Well, the Supreme Court is ruling on a case regarding religious liberty and whether parents should be informed and be able to opt their children out from reading books in the classroom that go against their faith. Shannon Bream is at the Supreme Court. We were watching for this one. What's the verdict?
We were, Dana. So this brought together a coalition of parents of different religious faiths and backgrounds who said there used to be a rule in this particular school district that would let them know when there were books that dealt with issues that may be in conflict with their religious faith. Well, so many parents were opting out that the school board and the school district quit doing it. Well, 6-3 today in a decision by Justice Alito, they said these parents have earned at least a preliminary injunction. So while this case plays out, they said the board has to notify them about a book that's in question or anything similar so that their kids can be excused if it's in conflict with their faith. He says, as we've explained, without that, parents are left this choice, either risk their child's exposure to burdensome instruction or pay substantial sums for alternative educational services. Because at one point, Justice Jackson during the arguments had said, why don't they just go to a different school? Why don't you put them in private school or homeschool them? Justice Alito and others saying that's not practical for a lot of people.
And of course, we have the reaction of county officials. A snapshot of a news article that reads, county leaders react to Supreme Court opt-out ruling. On Friday, the Supreme Court affirmed that rights of parents to let their children opt out of LGBTQ plus readings in public schools. The case, Mahmoud versus Taylor, was filed in 2023 by county parents frustrated by Montgomery County Public Schools policy. All right, so you would imagine that county officials would be, according to what they preach and what they say and what their narrative is, that they would respect the decision of the Supreme Court. They will support it because it's democracy, right? It follows democracy. An issue has gone through the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is part of the agencies that support and defend democracy. But the county officials didn't do that. Shocker. So this shows the hypocrisy of the DNC, of Democrats, and especially those that hold office here in the county. They are just hypocrites. They're liars. They're just, all right. So this is what they said. In a press statement released Friday afternoon, County Executive Mark Eldridge found fault with the decision. This is what Mark Eldridge said. Quote, many in our community, including LGTBQ plus families, have experienced hate-based race, religion, ethnicity, and sexual orientation, and these fears have only increased with the new administration. I grew up with anti-Semitism, and I know what hate looks like. No one should have to experience that. We cannot and should not deny the reality of our diverse community, and this ruling threatens to further divide us and to legitimize exclusion. End quote. This is completely wrong. I mean, what hate? I lived in this county since I was in 5th grade, and I didn't see any hate. I didn't see any. I mean, who are you talking about? What anti-Semitism violence? First of all, you're not a Semite. You're do you have DNA that is from the Middle East? I don't think so. There's no hate against any community in the county. It's the most diverse county in the country. There's no hate here. Right. Council President Kate Stewart expressed her frustration with the court. Quote, I am deeply disappointed in today's U.S. Supreme Court ruling in Mahmoud versus Taylor, which limits access to LGTBQ inclusive books in public schools. That's not true. It's false. Continuing with the quote, this ruling undermines the hard work that Montgomery County and counties across the nation have taken to promote the culture of respect and inclusivity, where everyone is seen and valued as they truly are in authentic selves. Completely wrong. End quote. Sorry. Completely wrong. What reality are you living in? There's no hate. These books push an ideology that is disrespectful to people of faith. Can't you understand that? Very simple. Will Locu Jawando says, quote, as chair of the Education and Culture Committee, I want to be clear. Montgomery County Public Schools will always be a welcoming place for LGBTQ students and families. We must continue to ensure that all of our community members see their families and experiences reflected in our schools. Protecting inclusive education is not just a matter of academic integrity, it's a matter of justice and dignity for all of our students. End quote. You don't know who wrote that for you, Rwanda? You didn't write that. Your low IQ intelligence prohibits you to write something like that, but it's completely jargon. When were you to protect the rights of minorities, of parents who asked for a simple opt-out? Where were you? Were you in the protests, talking to parents, trying to exchange ideas and inform the parents? I don't think so. And you're part of the you're president and chair of the Education and Cultural Committee. That's ironic. You should be in charge of the, I don't know, the corrections committee, because education. I never see you in anywhere. You only talk about what they tell you to say. You're a puppet. All right, and again we already surmised and presented what the Republican Party leader Reacion Sullivan said in his remarks in reaction to this ruling, where he said, and I quote, when we participated in the demonstrations last year, we saw Christians, Jews, Muslims, and immigrants fighting to maintain control of their children. It's amazing to see parents who were on the right side of the issue. It is actions like this that are bringing so many people over to the Republican Party. That is correct. I mean, I don't know about you, but many Democrats are changing sides. Many independents, libertarians, and others and Green Party members are changing sides because the only good option, the only logical option to save education, to save the economy, to save public safety, to lower taxes, to keep a lid on utility bill prices in the county is the Republican Party. What else is there? Any Democrat who's going to come along, I've been saying this since 2022. Every Democrat that comes along that runs for office, for any office in the county, it's going to do the same thing. I mean, you see the people who ran for the Board of Education, Kate Stewart. She's not doing anything. She's just following the agenda of the DNC. So she said she was going to work she was going to work with parents. Where are you, Kate Stewart? I haven't seen you. Where are your comments about this? We got more reaction from the county officials. This is a tweet from the teachers union that reads, "The decision has the power to disrupt our classrooms and our school communities by assaulting a bedrock principle of public education, that the diversity of our students and their families should be valued and celebrated." Completely wrong. You are on the wrong side of history. You're on the wrong on this issue because you're not respecting the rights of parents. You're not respecting the rights of minorities. You are forcing every kid in our school system to follow an ideology, a pornographic pedophile ideology that seeks to normalize and legalize pedophilia. No one's going to support that. No one in their right mind. All right, let's continue. We have a tweet from a pedophile supporter, council member Evan Glass. Of course, he's going to say, he tweets and says, "They may try to silence our stories, they may try to hide our history, but they will not erase us." No one's trying to erase anybody, Evan. No one's trying to eliminate no one. No one's trying to erase any history, anything. If you're an adult and you're from the LGTBQ community, good for you. Power to you. Don't force your ideologies into our kids, especially elementary school kids. Come on, and you put on a statement on this? Incredible. Tweet from council member Don Lithke, Air Park cartel leader. We have, and she says, "This is bad. This is a bad president that will disrupt public education, which should not be dictated by religious ideology." What do you consider LGBTQ ideology? This is disappointing, she says. "This is a disappointing day. I remain proud to live in a county that believes in respecting and recognizing all people." So there you have it. There you have it. You have a school system that could have resolved this issue 2 years ago, but they decided not to. Why? Because they are pushing an ideology. They are pushing a narrative that is not only centered on in the county, that is nationwide, that is worldwide, that is following a UN Agenda 2030, that is following the World Economic Forum agenda, that is following the agenda of George Soros, and is following an agenda of all the pedophile organizations in the world. And this is just an example of that. So what's the end product of this agenda is to legalize and normalize pedophilia. So I'm very happy that the parents came together and that people with sanity, with courage and with guts came together and opposed this madness. And thank God that we have a Supreme Court and we have leaders, justices in the Supreme Court that are sane people, that are common sense people, that have decided that this issue was a no-brainer at all. So many things are going to come as a result of this decision. We hope that this information has been clear to you guys. Here at MoCo Resistance, we're about unity. We're about respecting every community. We are about respecting the thoughts and beliefs of every community in our county, the Muslim community, the Jewish community, the Orthodox Ethiopian community, and we support them because they have the right, we have the right as Catholic as well, to have a say in what our kids are being presented to in schools. So this has been episode 43, Supreme Court sides with boys' parents' rights, and this is great news for everybody. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We're going to come again to address other issues that are going on in the county, but this week we wanted to share the good news, and if you didn't hear, hopefully this information is of use to you and yours in your social circle. So we again ask you to please share this podcast everywhere, and we ask you, join us, join the resistance.
The Supreme Court has made a decision in the LGBT storybook opt-out case that started here in Montgomery County. After a group of parents sued MCPS to get the opt-out choice back in schools, the Supreme Court has sided with the parents.